Thank you. The way this is going to work tonight, there's index cards. If you have a question, write it down on the index card and we'll try to get it in. Ask the candidates tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. We'll go ahead and start in alphabetical order, but first we'd like each candidate to do a brief introduction about themselves. So we'll go ahead and start with you.
Thank you. I'm Elizabeth C. Turtle Drayer, running for mayor. What do you love about living in Florida? The Gulf breezes, the waves lapping the sand, the heron stepping through the seas. Or did you come for the 6-lane highways and the strip malls? Overdevelopment is wrecking our state and the resources that sustain us. We pave the wetlands and the beaches and drive the wildlife out, and we call that progress. If you've lived here a long time, you know how much things have changed. Chasing the dollar is killing our planet and the world that we leave to our kids. The good news is we can turn things around. We can turn concrete to trees, get rid of chemicals that hurt our health, and switch to clean energy. And if big cities like Chicago can have miles of forest preserves, we can have that too. We can restore nature instead of destroying it. Green government is smart money. It's way cheaper to prevent pollution than to clean it up. And ecotourism is big business that we need to grab a piece of. First, we need to bring back the echo. Switching to renewable fuels can save millions. And if we want to bring new businesses with young people, we need the kind of green city, a modern city that will bring them here. We need new voices in government. We need change. Please elect me, Elizabeth Drayer, on March 17th.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Hibbard. Thank you for coming here tonight, taking some time to hopefully hear from all the candidates and learn a little bit more and have an educated vote. I want to thank the CNC for hosting this event. I want to thank most of all my wife, Teresa, who's in the audience. If I didn't have her support, I could not do this. We talk a lot, her and I, about different kinds of people. There are people that are talkers, and there are people that are doers. I always say the talkers talk while the doers do. I'm a doer. What have I been doing since I left City Hall as mayor in 2012? I've been on several boards that I thought were important. First is the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, and then a board member of Calvary Christian High School, a church that I've attended for 41 years, as long as I've lived here in Clearwater. And then also Ruth Eckerd Hall. Recently, I've joined the HEP board. If you know what HEP, it's the Homeless Empowerment Project, which really turns the tide on homelessness. I am now only on 2 boards, but that's what I've been doing. So many people ask me, why do you want to do this again? Because I think our city is at a juncture, and we need strong, proven leadership. We're going to have a new city manager, as Mr. Horn is going to be retiring, new city attorney. We've got a big project in downtown. There are things that I watch from afar and see that we need to address. I hope we'll have time to talk about that. One of them is renewing our neighborhoods. We have aging housing stock. Anybody here from Countryside? Countryside's our newest neighborhood, and it's 50 years old. We need to see reinvestment in our neighborhoods. I'm going to talk about how we can do that and make Clearwater a stronger, better place to live. Thank you all for being here.
Good evening, I'm Bill Jonson. The CNC has been holding candidates forums for as long as I've been in Clearwater, which goes back to '84. And I've been paying attention because I'm the representative of my own homeowners association to the CNC, and back in the 90s, I was actually one of your presidents. Neighborhoods are the backbone of any community. Lately, we have had several attacks on the integrity of our neighborhoods, And one of those is what pushed me over the edge to say, I've got to get back on the council. I've got to take charge. We've got to have balance in the city and more excellence. When I was on the council, and you elected me to 4 times on the council, I considered myself a servant leader representing you. Clearwater is on the edge of something great. But we've got a lot of work to do to improve our processes and our execution. And that's why my campaign slogan is, Your Clearwater Better. Of course, we're going to be hiring a city manager, but we've got to get the council process going so that it's collaborative and setting up clear expectations for the city manager instead of for him to go in any direction. Also on my platform are 3 other things: municipal excellence, a complete and inclusive city, and focus on the future. And that includes looking at our environmental challenges that are coming ahead. My name is Bill Jonson, a person of experience and vision for Clearwater Mayor, but it's not about me, it's about us working together to make your Clearwater better.
Hi guys, my name is Morton Myers. First, I'm not a politician. I didn't get in this, I'm good. I didn't get in this to be a politician. I got in this to be a public servant. I'm up here because there's a lot of stuff in Clearwater that for the last 20 years I've been watching, and it could be better. We can be better. I'm very passionate. I'm a father, I have 4 kids. I have strong roots in this community. My wife's a teacher at Clearwater High. I own a couple local businesses. One of them's Drayer. A lot of people know that one. What got me to step up is I've just watched over and over bad things happen, bad management, projects not going smoothly, not going quickly. I've seen a lot of things that can be better for our families, better for our city, better for our community in general. I got into this just to try to make Clearwater better, and I believe that Clearwater can be better, and I think it's time for a change in management. I think it's time for some fresh ideas, a new approach. I think it's time for something new. So hopefully with your help, I can get us there. Clearwater can be better. Thank you guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight. Thank you for coming.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the questions. Elizabeth, we'll start with you first, and then Frank will be next, and then Bill, and then we'll start all over again. All right, so what course of economic actions will you champion to improve the lives of the average residents and neighborhoods they live in?
Well, as I said in my opener, I think expanding green space and bringing ecotourism to Clearwater.
Here's the mic.
Oh, thank you.
I would begin by expanding green space in a big way to try to bring ecotourism to Clearwater. This is a billion-dollar industry that we need here. I think we should put an impact fee on new development to fund purchases of land that we can turn back to nature, which would have so many benefits. Green space absorbs floodwaters, it absorbs carbon, it produces oxygen, it filters pollutants. All this would benefit the health of the average resident and the tax base of our city. I think diversifying the economy to draw more science and tech businesses to get away from our reliance on real estate and tourism would be a great goal. And I think expanding economic activity in locations apart from the downtown is very important. So those would be my goals.
Two minutes, wow, okay. I would start first of all with a strategic plan. A strategic plan really guides where the city ought to be going. And that strategic plan starts with all of you. We did this back in 2005, and we came out to citizens and really found out what you were most concerned with. The senior center at the Lawn Center grew out of that process. As things change, the needs within the city change, the problems change. I was talking about aging housing stock. That is critically important for all the citizens in Clearwater. So how do you improve it? First of all, you have to have a safe community. That means good police presence, but also safe streets. We need to encourage people to be reinvesting in their homes. So that also means we have to have good jobs. We need to attract new jobs. We have the US 19 corridor. There have been plans to bring in new companies there. The other thing is you need good education. I want to partner with the schools and with the companies that I have connections with in this city to get more mentoring in our schools. When you get more and better schools, then people will move to Clearwater and reinvest. Clearwater High is due for a facelift, but they are not going to replace it like Largo. It is one of the oldest buildings in all of Pinellas County. That's something I've already talked to Dr. Grego about. We've talked about ways to partner. Transportation is a critical issue. It's always been a problem. We don't have mass transit. It makes the entire region less affordable for people. That's something that we also need to work on. And then code enforcement. We have not been as strong on code enforcement and keeping up properties. That is another place that I want to expend resources. Thank you.
Thank you. There's several areas that we can do. We can continue to expand some of our neighborhood services. Neighborhood branding is one of the things that has been done in Skycrest, could be done in other communities to create pride in the neighborhoods. I'm a strong supporter of neighborhood associations and support to create those. At one time we had 5 people in our neighborhood support department. Now we have just 1. Although she's a house of fire, she's doing probably the work of 3. But we should expand that. Also, promote safer streets and sidewalks. One of the things that I find negatively impacting home residential economic areas are the speed bumps, the speed humps. There are better ways of doing traffic calming. There were some that were started in the city way back in '99 and finally implemented later, but we can do better for some of our neighborhoods. It's interesting to look at the citizen survey that has been completed, was completed last year, and it's surprising that some of the residents don't feel safe in their neighborhoods, at least as safe as other benchmark cities do. And we don't have a sense of community pride in our community. So those are things to work on to enhance our residential areas.
Okay, Clearwater Economic Opportunity Zone. I think we should make it easier for startup companies. There's a lot of business in Clearwater. There's some big businesses in Clearwater. But we could have some local flavor. We could add that back in, but making it easier for startup businesses. We could do so with assistance from the city and zoning. It's hard to open a business in Clearwater, I know. I've opened one. My first one I actually did open in Clearwater. I opened it in Oldsmar because it was much easier. And then grew a little business and it was easier to come in Clearwater, actually get my foot in the door, get into Clearwater as a business. So there is already incentives and opportunities offered, but we could make it easier for the startup companies. Startup companies are brands that we grow. We got brands like Hooters, Postcard Media started up here. There's a couple other companies, Pods, a Clearwater-based company. And we have companies that came out of nowhere and grew into bigger companies. So that's something we should definitely look at. The way we can also assist with those companies is making Clearwater better, making it #1 for families. I know we're #1 for the beach, but we could be #1 for families. And these companies, the big companies, are going to want their employees to be happy. And their employees, we want them to be happy with Clearwater as the #1 place to raise a family. So that's all for now. Thank you, guys.
Okay, the next question will be from the audience, and Craig will be the first one up on this. Given the questionable handling of money by employees of the Parks and Rec Department, would you support a forensic audit of the books for concerts and Phillies events?
We generally rotate audits throughout all the different departments. I think when you have had an issue like has occurred in Parks and Rec right now, you would do an audit, which the city has done. One of the things I tell people, I come from the financial industry, if somebody is willing to commit fraud, you are not generally going to catch it right away. But you have to have controls in place that over a shorter period of time, you are going to catch whoever is perpetrating those crimes. You have to have more than one person that is handling any cash. Cash was not supposed to be handled in that particular department the way it was. They finally caught the gentleman, and now the director of the Parks and Recreation Department has been fired, and now they are doing a national search for a new Parks and Rec director. But we need to always have strong controls in all of our departments, especially those that deal with cash.
Well, this is an area that I have a little bit of knowledge in. I'm a CPA. I worked at Honeywell as an internal auditor. And so, well aware, I have a accounting degree. This is something that you're well aware. You try to have controls that keep people honest. And that's the obligation of the city, trying to keep people honest. And you do that by setting up reasonable controls. But also one of the other things that you can do is you can create and articulate values to city employees. The city of Clearwater used to have this set of city values, and they were very visible throughout the city. That was in my first set of terms. But for some reason, they seemed to disappear in about 2009 and didn't reoccur until I went looking for them during my second set of terms. I think it's important to articulate values. One of those values would be honesty, another would be respect and treating different people carefully. But also, at Honeywell, when we did that, we asked every employee annually to sign that they had read those values and agreed to comply with them during the year. So that would reinforce those values. Your question was, would I support a forensic audit? I'm not sure that there's enough data to audit to ensure that we can tie down every cent there, but we certainly need better information about the P&L of concerts in Coachman Park, which is a real disappointment.
Do I support an audit? We can't audit everything. Obviously, we can't count every penny, but we should try really hard to. We should look at the accountability of our leadership. We had a venue that we lost our Parks and Rec director over. It was actually the ZZ Top venue, and it was in the paper, and we lost a lot of money. But we didn't just lose it at the ticket booth. We don't know how much we lost there because lack of accounting. So it came down simple. We need to keep better track of your money and your partnerships. We lost a lot more money with our partnerships. We should look at our partnerships and make sure we have accountability and auditing to make sure our partnerships are fair and we're split the way we're meant to be split. It was said it was for the good of the city, that we lost a lot of money. The good of the city isn't to lose money, it's to make the city better. It was a good concert, I didn't get to go. But with that, yes, we do need audits, we do need to safeguard, we need to check, and we need accountability on our leaders, but all the way to the bottom, better leaders, better people, and we can get there.
I would support audits. I I think that your values are formed when you're young, you're growing up, and if you don't have them, having the city tell you that you need to be honest is kind of an opportunity that has already passed. I think selecting the best employees, doing background checks, making sure they're adequately supervised, being on the lookout for unusual behavior by employees is very important. I think those are things that didn't occur during the mishandling of cash by Parks and Rec in a number of different events. I think computer controls are very important. I think establishing a tip line for employees to anonymously give information about things that they see is important. Possibly use of cameras could be considered. I'm not a fan of that. I think it's a last resort, but yes, I think audits and regular audits are important to ensure financial integrity in all departments.
Okay, Bill, you'll start the next one. And the question is, what are your 5 top priorities for the Clearwater Community Redevelopment Area, the CRA, and how do you plan to see that those priorities are acted upon and completed?
Thank you. Well, my first priority for the CRA is to have more residential in the CRA area. Having people live there is going to attract businesses and services. It's going to increase the vitality of the area. And we've got several businesses that are expanding down there, and they're looking for good places to live where they don't have to commute. The second thing would be to enliven the Pinellas Trail through downtown. I don't quite understand why we haven't done this before. It seems like a no-brainer. I know it's in our downtown redevelopment plan. You look at Dunedin, and they have built a lot of activity off of the trail. The third one is to change the perception of inadequate parking, but we can do that through 2 ways. One is with additional facilities, or the second is education. I think there's some misunderstanding is where parking is available, especially in the evening when it's free. Implementation of the Imagine Clearwater project as designed by the citizens to draw residents to downtown. Let me repeat, to draw residents to downtown. If the residents are going to be spending money in the Imagine Clearwater, they should be able to be the prime beneficiary of those improvements. And by having residents there every day, it's going to enliven downtown, and then that's going to expand downtown as well. Another small thing is just simply implementing the downtown gateway signage as suggested by the ULI report back in 2014. It's small. Let's do it. Thank you.
All right, my top 5 priorities. Excuse me. First, I think the CRA, we need to think a little bigger. It's just downtown. And we're all probably sick of hearing about just downtown. Florida's a big city. There's a lot of opportunity. I do have my points for downtown, but I think we need to focus on North Greenwood. I think they could have a CRA. Other cities have multiple CRAs. Clearwater doesn't. We just have one. It's downtown. We always hear about downtown. So I think we can look at North Greenwood, Hercules north of Drew. There's a lot of economic opportunity up there for more business. We can look at Gulf to Bay from Courtney Campbell all the way to Court Street. That CRA would work good there. We can redevelop and make it a better place all the way down. And this is what people see coming in. The CRA should be developing for us. It should be developing for tourism. It should be developing to make Clearwater better. So I think that's a good area. Drew from 19 Keene. It's another great area. It's just not very well put together. It's something we can focus on. But for my points, currently we need to work on the East Gate, which if you're familiar with the CRA, that's the turn where Gulf Bay used to turn to go to Cleveland. And that should be big and open, and it's kind of plain right now, and I know we have plans for it in the future, but we need to get there. We need to get it going. We also need to look at redeveloping and repurposing the old city hall, which is in downtown. I still think it should be city hall. I think if we're gonna reuse the property, rebuild the city hall, if we can't make the current one work, we should get back into city hall and stop renting the city hall. As a small business owner, I find it's much better to own and pay equity instead of paying someone else to get rich. Currently, we lack easy access plans for North and South Greenwood. So we're talking about redeveloping and making North Greenwood a better place, but we have a horrible road to get into North Greenwood. We could make it better. We could get more business up there and help that community. Last is, we got to get our families back down. Let's do some parades. Let's bring them back. I miss the parades. That got us all downtown twice a year. That's probably the most people get down there now. So let's get them down there more.
I agree that a CRA in North Greenwood is probably a good idea. I believe a finding of necessity is the first step towards doing that, and that's something that we should definitely look into. As far as the one CRA that we have downtown now, establishing form-based building codes to change the way the city looks and feels has been a route to success in many other cities. It has to do with the positioning of buildings, the look of buildings, and that is very effective. Establishing an incubator like we have now with the Ring would be a way to increase activity and draw people downtown. Putting City Hall near the other city buildings to get some synergy going would be a smart move, I think. And keeping up Fort Harrison with some retail and services like salons and laundry would also be a good thing, bring more people downtown and give people the services they need to move there and stay there. All this obviously depends on the cooperation and buy-in of the Church of Scientology, which is the major property owner there, and it depends on residents being willing to go and spend money there in businesses owned by Scientology. So that's a big question mark, but I think all those moves would be very beneficial and effective.
How many of you know what a CRA is? Because we've been asked this question before. Not everyone knows. CRA is a community development area. We do only have one. It runs from our waterfront to Highland Avenue and from Drew over to Chestnut. What happens is you get some of the tax increment that would normally go to the county. It stays within the CRA and it has to be reinvested. So downtown is always difficult, right? There's been efforts there for decades and decades. It's the chicken and the egg. So how do we get people to come down? First of all, you do have to have people living there. The more rooms you have, the better off you are. It's just a natural market then for restaurants and some retail. Retail is obviously changing in this country with the Amazoning of all of us, unfortunately, and so we don't have as many small retail businesses. But you need to first of all have rooms. Then we need to bring more jobs to downtown. Jobs are critically important. People that are working there want to live close. I'm fortunate I live 10 blocks from my office in the Bank of America building in Harbor Oaks. I've got 10 blocks, terrible commute. But it's wonderful to be that close. If you have jobs, people will come. Then we have to get more restaurants because eateries really are what bring people into downtowns right now more than retail. Retail will spring up over time. We have a lot of parking in downtown, it's just not necessarily in the right places. I'd like to see a circulator that moves people around downtown. It's cheaper to have some jolly trolleys running than to build more parking. The last thing I'd say is Scientology is not contagious. You will not catch it by coming downtown and frequenting some of the businesses down there. And so citizens need to come down there. If you want to improve downtown, you have to support the businesses that have made an investment and taken a risk.
Okay, we'll do another one from the audience, and Mark, I believe it's your turn. According to a 2017 CNC survey with 350 respondents, the number one negative influence on our neighborhoods is traffic. Do you have any plans to tackle the citywide neighborhood deterioration?
I agree, traffic's a nightmare in Clearwater. I own two businesses on the worst road besides US 19. US 19, 4 o'clock, we don't know what that looks like. Gulf to Bay, 4 o'clock, same road. So, yes, we do need to assess what we have going on here, but I know we're working on some new road programs that make it safer for pedestrians, but I'm not sure if it's gonna make it a better commute for us. They're choking down Drew Street right now. It really is. I know they're redeveloping it, but it's gonna make it harder to get down Drew in a hurry. There is no secondary main vein to downtown. I know we have 2 main veins to go north, actually 3 if you count Belcher. So, but to get around Clearwater, there's so much traffic. Things like red light cameras don't help us. Retiming traffic lights, making traffic safer helps us. So there's a lot of stuff to address with traffic. But what we really need to look at is where are we drawing these people? Are we drawing them to parks? Are we drawing them to work? Are the people just passing through? And the focus on right now is passing through 19 as fast as we can. We lost so much traffic and so much industry when we let 19 be overpassed. I don't think that was a good move for our city. So I don't think with Gulf to Bay, I don't think adding more and more venues downtown, which is going to congest that road, is really going to help us. Trust me, it scares me. Dairy Girl's 10 feet from the road. They try to expand Gulf to Bay one more time, and Dairy Girl's out. And it won't be my choice. My choice is to keep it there forever. And I think we could look at what we have. We need to get some of the old routes back. Maybe get Cleveland back together. There's some roads we can make a lot better. So yes, transport's a big issue. Seriously, these guys will have great ideas about it too. So thank you guys.
We desperately need mass transportation. Unfortunately, the voters voted down light rail for North County. That was sad. We could introduce more buses. We could expand the Jolly Trolley to other parts of the city. I think those things should be done. I don't believe in building up Clearwater so we have more and more people and more activity. I don't believe we need to compete with Tampa and St. Petersburg. We are our own community. We don't need more cars. We can't handle more cars. The Complete Streets projects that we have going should help to diversify transportation, make it easier to walk, make it easier to bike, increase mass transportation, and make those streets safer. But I don't believe bringing more people with more cars is going to benefit our city in any way, and I oppose that.
Joanne, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. According to a 2017 Clearwater Neighborhoods Coalition survey with 350 respondents, the number one negative influence on our neighborhoods is traffic. Do you have any plans to tackle this citywide neighborhood deterioration?
I wanted to make sure I'm answering the right question, because it really isn't a